Hey there, it's another day, another unboxing. Well, not really. This is a Toyota Mirai. It is a fuel cell vehicle. It's an electric car that's powered by a hydrogen fuel cell. And we're gonna do a little quick video, at least for me it'll be a quick video of me driving this, looking at it, and give you some feelings on what I think about it as a Tesla owner. The power steering is so light and has zero feel. Let's see if we can toss this around a little bit. Well, it is very comfortable and it feels very much like a nicely built Toyota. Like, I can definitely feel this car is gonna last a really long time, and that's definitely a Toyota trait that I admire. It does pretty much feel like a point A to point B appliance. It feels a lot like a Prius, or you know, it doesn't even feel as sporty to me as a Camry or Corolla S. You know, it's kind of like, wow, really not a driver's car. But it's not what it's meant to do. It's really meant to be a, you know, it's one of the first fuel cell vehicles that's mass produced. I mean, that's a big deal. Right. And it's all about the power plant. And it's about hydrogen, and it's about, you know, being able to get point A to point B. I think what it's about 300-mile range or 200-mile range on a refill that takes just a few minutes, like normal gasoline, and that is pretty awesome compared to having to plug in for 45 minutes like I have to in my Model 3. But honestly, compared to a Model 3, this doesn't even come close. I mean, it's very much like a Prius. It's very wallowy, the suspension, lots of body roll, not much feedback through the steering wheel. Very what's the word? Very quick, like very light steering, and you know, like right now, it's like it's almost understeering. We're barely going around this corner fast enough to upset like any car. Like a Honda Fit would just be jumping around these curves. So I don't know how heavy this car is. I have to look at the specs, but I'm figuring that the weight might have something to do with it. It is definitely an interesting piece of technology, and you can't, you know, there's nothing like it. Honda has the Clarity, which comes in the hybrid, EV, pure EV, battery EV, and hydrogen fuel cell versions. So that's about the only other option you have. So, you know, I've never driven a fuel cell car. This is exciting. Yeah, so I just switched it over to power mode, PWR mode, which I assume is power. And it's definitely a little more torquey, especially from a standstill, which, you know, is why EVs are always pretty torquey. But it does peter off very quickly, and it's certainly better than in the default mode. This car does feel like, you know, somewhere between 7 to 9 seconds, 0 to 60. It's not a particularly fast car, but, you know, that's not what it's for. But it definitely is torquier at the very beginning. When you really need to get off at a traffic light, you won't be disappointed. It's going to be good enough to get you into the flow of traffic, and that I think is a little bit more peppy, at least in power mode, than say the Prius would be. But I mean, again, you know, you can't really compare it to Tesla because they're torque monsters, and no matter which model you buy, really. So, but I'd say compared to, you know, a Corolla, which is the platform is based on the Corolla. You know, I think it's definitely more torquey at startup, but it does seem to peter off much more than a combustion engine car would. So that's a little observation from somebody who's driven a lot of cars. We're now entering Tank Girl's lair. It's way too bright to be Tank Girl's lair. Oh, by the way, I just want to say, as an aside. So this is the Toyota Mirai from the outside. I'm here at Cavallo Point. As you can see, the Golden Gate Bridge and the fog in the background. So it looks very much, the design and the styling of this car, actually, when it was announced, was what became the inspiration for the next generation Prius. You'd see the headlights actually kind of look like the Prius Prime a little bit. And you know, a lot of those lines, a lot of this design is reminiscent of things we've seen in other Toyotas since then. For example, the taillights on the Prius, on the Corolla, on the even the new Camry has a lot of these design cues. And so it's kind of hard to tell because there's a lot of aero in this car, but there actually is a tailpipe somewhere under here. Since it is a fuel cell car, hydrogen car, its exhaust is water. That's right, water. just H2O. And so this is it. It's a little bigger than a Prius. It's got a lot of overhangs. So, but you know what? It's not an ugly car. I'm surprised. It looks better in person than I expected, frankly. So that's a quick walk around, and now I'll give you a shot of the inside so you can have a feel for what that looks like. What a view. So this is the inside of the Mirai. Pretty traditional Toyota steering wheel. You got a bunch of screens. So you got a screen that's very reminiscent of what you see on a Toyota Prius up here. And you've got a nav screen, entertainment screen. And then there's another screen down here for the temperature, very reflective. This is all piano lacquer. There's the gear selector, as you can see. And some vents and Mr. Michael Fisher's BlackBerry key too, just hanging out here. So there you go. There he is. That's what you're getting. Nice shot of this red LG G7. You know, pretty standard fare for a Toyota, especially if you're familiar with a Prius. You've been here before. There's some cup holders down here. And yeah, that's it for the front. And now let me show you the back seat. And so this is the back seat. Lots of room, but you can't have a middle passenger. There's actually a compartment here because the fuel cell system is under here, and I think the hydrogen tank's right behind the seats. There's more stuff in basically the middle part of the car as well. The fuel cell system is, and so this is what it looks like in here from this angle. You can see what situation is. Nice and comfy in here. Lots of room. And here is what the trunk looks like. There's a lot of space in this trunk, and you can see a familiar messenger bag here, and that little Mirai logo. And there you go. So here we are at the only hydrogen filling station in the North Bay. We're in Marin County near Sausalito, and we just filled up. It was basically like having a gasoline car. You just plug it in, you wait for it to fill up, you're done. So compared to a battery electric, much faster for sure. But at the same time, you know, I kind of wish Toyota had made a car with a bit more engaging driving experience. I looked up the 0 to 60 on the car, and my guess was pretty close. 0 to 60 in 9.4 seconds. That's not a huge performance thing, but at the same time, you know, that's not what this car is for. It's an A to B commuter car with a really good range that you can fill up much faster than a battery electric. So anyway, that's been my experience with the Toyota Mirai, I don't know how you say it. Good time, interesting car. Certainly, I'm not sure it's the future. I really still think that with better density battery EVs are the future. But this is cool, and I'm glad that Toyota and Honda are making hydrogen cars. So anyway, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. And remember that all my videos are really a compliment to my podcast, mobiletechpodcast.com. Go there, subscribe, tell your friends. Also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Overcast, Stitcher, Slacker, TuneIn Radio, everywhere. Just look it up, Mobile Tech Podcasts, and stay tuned for more videos. Bye, everybody.